on the Aragon Monthly and hearing what you guys have been up to. And the live stream is live. We're live.
Nice.
And that's everyone, I think, right?
Yep. So first item is Aragon Monthly status. Chris?
Yes, so we just had a call actually just before, and so we have Gene, who is repeat sheep in our riot, and he's a talented guy who now who has lots of free time, which is perfect. So he studied a little bit on Markdown and GitHub, and he's now gonna do the editor-in-chief work, and we divided the tasks a little bit. So I'll be Tatu will give me access so that I can send out a tweet when the newsletter goes out, etc. And I'll create like the new issue for the next month and fund issues for people to submit content and yeah, do editing of the newsletter itself. So I'll do part of these tasks, but the actual like going through the code and making sure that everything makes sense and that editing work will be done by Gene. So I'm very happy that I get some support there. So normally this monthly is going to go out. Well, it should definitely go out by the beginning of next month, beginning of next week. So I think we're all set there if all goes well. And that's the update, I would say, unless I'm missing something, Tatu.
No, I think that was a pretty good overview of the situation. I think we made a good progress on the handing over the monthly for the DAC, and then we'll just have some minor details later on. But for now, we should be set at least for the next couple of months regarding the bounty fundings and such. So looking good.
Do we have a plan for paying repeat sheep?
Yeah, well, I was proposing that we just come up with an hourly rate for him, and that we check like, how many hours he works on this, and that we pay him this hourly rate to the Aragon DAC.
Yeah, and that was that I sent Chris enough ANT to cover 2 months of bounties, at least the basic ones, unless he wants to create additional ones that we didn't really discuss yet. But for the editorials and a couple of articles, he should be now covered for a couple of months on those. And then the editor-in-chief type of work, as he mentioned, would be from the DAP.
Cool. Is there any, where's the transparency on sending that ANT? Or like, I know we can't do it in the DAP yet. We're working on token integration now. But I'm just curious, is there a formal process for that, or is there some place where we report that?
No, that was, as I mentioned, something to discuss in the future. So now we haven't discussed what we should do in the future. Does the DAC or the project fund the bounties, for example? I think it makes sense that the project does it, at least for now. And I have ANT from the project that I sent to Chris, and it will be transparent when he creates the bounties, because those will be fully visible in GitHub as they are funded when the bounty is created as well.
Okay. We just create milestones for Ether. Like, we're going to fund a bunch of Gitcoin bounties this weekend, and so like we posted a link to it, and hopefully I think by the end of November for sure, we will have token support in the DApp. So then we can do it there, and you can donate ANT to the project, and then we can pass it through there. But for now, as long as it's written, we'll try to figure out something to make it transparent.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Any other comments on this? Moving on. Uh-oh, lost it. Okay, request for comment on AGP. Luke.
Yeah, so I'm off mute, right? Yeah, you guys can hear me. I think it was the meeting, last week's meeting, or not last week's, but the previous meeting. John was talking about AGP1, the sort of process that we were kind of preparing to revamp the AGP process and make it kind of a little bit more formalized, roughly based on kind of the EIP process, with kind of like different stages for proposals and kind of a way for these proposals to go to an A&T vote. And so that document's been drafted. There's a repo, and there's a forum thread on it, which is what the link in the agenda goes to. But I just wanted to draw everybody's attention to it. We're looking for kind of feedback through this period. Probably going to be like pointing people to it all through DevCon. And I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware and had a chance to take a look at it. We would really love to hear your guys' thoughts.
I actually started making some GitHub comments or like PRs on it, just small things. But is that the best way to go, or for sure for some things like adding a link to our community chat on a place for like requests for just adding some links or whatever, I'm sure. But like, would you prefer that we discuss in the forum or play in the GitHub?
I think that for the like higher level discussion of the like proposal, it probably makes sense to do that in the forum, just because it's not going to go anywhere. Whereas like if you're commenting on the PR in different sections, those get resolved and then nobody sees them. So for like the higher level conversations, as opposed to like this section, and I've got a question about this specific section, probably in the forum. But either really work, and you can kind of cross post back and forth. But wherever really makes sense for the specific topic is okay. We just want to make sure that there's lots of transparent discussion around it, and it's really been kind of vetted by the community.
Yeah.
The intention is that we'll try and dog food the process itself, so try and mimic as much the approval of AGP1 through like as if it was going through that process, since the previous AGP process really didn't have a like concrete means of like reaching a conclusion one way or the other. So we're sort of planning on kind of dog feeding with like an A&T vote to ratify the proposal once the kind of discussion has happened.
Ooh, that's going to be interesting. How do you think we're going to get A&T token holders to vote? Do you have any ideas?
I think that like early on, we're going to have relatively low participation. Only like the people that are really actively engaged are going to participate. But for something like this, I don't think that's a huge issue, and hopefully it'll improve over time. When we did the original survey apps, we had like a fair amount of participation, but the biggest barrier, and we were both concerned about this, but we also got feedback, was at the time it was very difficult to vote with the hardware wallet. But now MetaMask supports the Ledger and the Treasure wallets, and Frame should be available as well, and that supports hardware wallets for the DApp. So people that have their A&T in secure storage, like they should be able to participate without too much trouble. So I think we'll actually see a larger amount of participation in these votes as well.
And to participate, they just sign a message, right?
Yeah, so they'll actually use the DApp. So we'll deploy on mainnet a DAO with the voting app, and the voting app will be tied to A&T. So they'll see the standard Aragon interface, and they'll see a proposal that gets placed in there, and there'll be a specific time period for the vote.
Cool. Okay. But do they have to actually pay gas, for instance?
Yeah, so they'll have to pay gas for the transaction. We sort of off topic, but there's a PR that Jorge just did for an Aragon OS improvement that'll allow for meta transactions. So in the future, we could potentially use that to subsidize gas costs if we wanted to. But that's definitely not in the scope of this thing right now.
For sure. Let's see. Cool. Any other things, questions or thoughts about the AGP process? Okay. Next one, hiring update. So I am pretty stoked about Patty. I don't think Chris has actually had a chance to talk with her yet, but she is, I'm trying to schedule a second call with her. Quasia loves her. I love her. Lorelai loves her. This is Pierre's partner, and she's interviewing for the UX lead. And I think, I mean, assuming everything goes according to plan, we should be able to hire her and move forward. And she'll be a major leader on the community R&D side of things. So that'll be really good. And she'll be full-time and all this stuff, all this good stuff. It'll be a trial period to start, as that's what we do with everyone. And there'll be like some feedback rounds. But she seems hot to trot, and she's already been in the scene. You guys might even know her since she is with Pierre. So
her name is Heidi, you say?
Patty.
Patty, okay.
Yeah, so that's one big win. I'm curious because I haven't actually told her that she's hired, although I sent a very encouraging email that she could probably assume. But have you guys met Patty? Do you know anything about her?
I haven't.
No, we haven't.
I have.
Ah, fantastic.
What do you think?
Yes, it's great.
Yeah, I think she's going to be a really good leader for us because I just can't be the full-time leader that this crew needs, and we'll need, you know, at least 2 or 3. So. But
then she's going to be the project manager or the UX lead.
She's going to be UX, like really focused on researcher kind of side of things. Be working with Yanni a lot on things, and when we get a little bit more up and running with our crew, she'll be designing modules and all these things. I think her first task will be the TCR thing.
Great.
And that's what we're going to throw around and see how that goes and see how she likes it. Eventually, I kind of see her as a management role, though, where maybe, you know, we have all these different modules that we're working with. We have different people that will be wanting to build DAOs for. At least that's for me, that's kind of the direction I want to go, is really finding people that want DAOs to be built and then building it for them. So I don't imagine she'll want to be doing that for like 10 different projects, but maybe she'll have one that she works on and then be managing some other UX contractors that will, because I've had a lot of good UX applicants, actually, really good ones. And so I think it'll be relatively easy to find people who want to do like here's your, you know, do the design for this one module or this one DAO or whatever. And then she'll kind of be able to manage the different designers as well as the different processes in general. Hopefully. We'll see. And then for the other ones, we have lots of good technical writers applying as well. And I haven't actually checked the last week of applicants for project managers, but I just recently had to update the thing because I realized that the project management, I shifted what I wanted in my mind, but didn't update it in the application. So that's probably why I wasn't getting very good applicants. But I really need a tech-heavy project manager to really work with the DAC team. So if you guys know any ex-CTOs of failed startups, definitely send them my way. Cool. Any other? Yeah?
I just had a question related to kind of the general onboarding process once we have some of these a little bit further in the pipeline, what that sort of looks like, because I don't think we've seen it yet. But I had talked to Jeff, and he mentioned that you had some sort of plan for onboarding after DevCon. So I just wanted to get a sense of sort of what you had in mind and what that looks like.
Yeah, so for everyone, so everybody's a unique snowflake. You know, I wouldn't say that there's one size fits all on this, but for the most part, a trial month where, and our general standard right now is you do your own hours and we give an hourly wage. So we just trust people to report their own hours, and we'll kind of watch it and make sure that, honestly, I'm more worried about people not reporting enough hours than reporting too many. So, but we will watch that and see how it goes. And then for the first month, it's like, hey, we make sure that they know there's no commitments here, but we're going to try it out. And we give them kind of a smaller project so that they can learn to cut their teeth on it. And then maybe it's like for Patty, for instance, I don't know that she will be like finishing the TCR design all the way, or if she will actually probably be passing that to someone who's going to work with Jeff a lot on that, because I really see Jeff Emmett being like a sub project manager for this, and he's I guess I was actually I put this on a later topic, but I can move it up to this spot too if we want to talk about this. But yeah, the general onboarding process, 1 month trial, and at probably a lower hourly wage than we will put them at the end, and then a feedback period from all the people she's working with, and so there'll be a fun meeting, and then I think we'll just kind of have a consensus vote. I wouldn't say a vote; it'll just be a discussion with the small crew that we have right now of saying like, what do you think, yay or nay? Are we going to do it? And then it passes. So, and then we'll figure out a more longer term contract, smart contract, I guess, of some sort that everyone's happy with.
Cool. And then I guess the other thing is a lot of these roles are going to have to be very tightly integrated with kind of the dev pod or circle or whatever we're calling the campaign. Is that kind of connected in terms of that sort of like hiring process as well?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's so small that it's just 2 groups.
Yeah,
it's one group. It's one group. I mean,
yeah,
there's no point. But eventually there'll be much more once we have, because I kind of see the project manager as being more on the dev side of things and really leading the project from that side, and Patty being the leader on this side. And if somehow, and then we'll see who else joins this thing, but hopefully we'll have a lot of leaders. I see Chris also as kind of a leader, but he's more on the documentation side. He's going to end up working with a lot of contributors, and that's just generally how this DAC should, I hope, to be structured, where it's like we have all these different leaders who have their favorite contributors that they work a lot with, So, but yeah, right now everyone's together all the time. Eventually, it'll need to break up because you just can't have meetings of 12 people. It's not very efficient. But yeah, and I don't know, since we brought the topic up, unless someone wants to talk more about hiring, I would be into talking about Jeff's role and our plans here. Okay, cool. So this is kind of more focused on Giveth, but it does relate to the Aragon DAC because Giveth is going to try to be built completely on top of Aragon, is the goal. And it's going to be a long process. And there's 2 people who I found while interviewing for the Aragon DAC, although Jeff I just reached out to him with a specific thing in mind. But one guy applied to be a project manager, but he's really focused on like nonprofits and altruism. So I was thinking, actually, you would make way better project manager for Giveth and leading the transition from the DAP as it is to the Aragon DAC. To Aragon, like the Aragon platform for Giveth. So he's still interviewing with some people, and we'll see how it goes. But I'm pretty sure it's going to work out because he's really excited about the idea. And then his goal, his name's Michael, and his goal will be to bring us like DAOs into the DApp that we have currently, and then eventually build underneath that on top of Aragon the Give It DApp. So in creating a liquid pledging module, and maybe a milestone module if we can't squeeze it in the liquid pledging module. But before that, that's probably like next year, honestly. For this first period, it's actually just integrating DAOs to the DApp so that they can have a nice seamless interface. And we'll have that on top, and we'll start DAOifying the DApp itself and start integrating, start experimenting with how DAOs can interact with liquid pledging and start playing some games. And that'll take some time as well, just to ramp up and put together. But the first experiment that we want to do is actually with DApp. And
one clear question, sorry to interrupt you. When you say the DApp, you're referring to the Aragon DApp. Because now I'm a little bit confused with Give It.
I was a little confused there too.
Yeah.
Between everything.
I'm talking about the Give It DApp. Yeah, the Give It DApp, not Camino. The Give It DApp.
So you were meaning, okay.
Yeah, so I'm talking, I want, because the Give It DApp has this role of delegate, and the delegate is just an address, and this address calls all these functions. And I want to replace that address for campaign managers, delegates, and milestone managers occasionally to be able to be Aragon DACs. And then that will be a process, and we'll likely get stuck on things on Aragon side and need to fix it and focus on that, and then go back on the Give It side and fix things there. So it'll be this back and forth process. And then, but the first real experiment that I want to, well, we'll have some small experiments with just really simple DAOs, of course, and maybe like the reward DAO and our unicorn DAC. I want both of those to get on Aragon as soon as possible. But the one I'm really excited about is basically just creating Jeff's blog post that he made, which is like curation markets and token bonding curves for philanthropic investment. I don't know. I'm sure Luke saw this blog post.
Yeah,
No?
I saw it a while back. I think I'm quoted in it, if I remember correctly.
Yes, you are. I read it as well.
Yeah, probably. That would make a lot of sense. But yeah, so I would just want Jeff to make that happen in real life, and we're going to do what it takes. And he seems super down to start making it happen. It'll probably be a part-time gig, but that'll be like his little project that he's going to manage. And he'll probably, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. This is just in terms of timing wise, we were just having this conversation around the curation markets for DAOs thing, and also the Pando team. There was like a Nest proposal, so like getting some of those things actually happening together might kind of catalyze this a bit. So we might want to introduce Jeff to Olivier from Pando, who's been thinking a lot about this as well for their project, and doing kind of a bonding curve implementation on Aragon as well.
Okay, interesting. I just
That's a great idea. Yeah.
I assume the bonding curve would just be a smart contract, and you can hardly have to interact with it, right? I mean, I guess you can make some kind of UI for it, but
yeah,
it's pretty. It's just I mean, so what does it mean to have it on top of Aragon?
It's just in terms of it being an app, it would be sort of like the token. If you know the token manager in Aragon now, has like it allows you to create a specific token, and then that token has certain parameters. The bonding curve would be kind of an alternative to the token manager in the sense that it's like a special token that's tied to a bonding curve. I would imagine how the implementation would work, but I don't know if the architecture has really been determined yet. Okay. But for the like Pando project, it's sort of like kind of on their roadmap, and the like apiary proposal with like using the bonding curves as sort of an accountable fundraising mechanism for DAOs kind of all rolls into that same sort of like necessary components. And I think Jeff's thing is like right there as well.
Yeah. Well, and that's the beauty of it, is that we can practice this for nonprofits and have a very risk-free but real application. You know, where it's like, oh, hey, it didn't work. Well, I guess the world can get better. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, we'd love. I'll definitely connect Jeff with Pando. I mean, I'll find a way to get connected. It's not hard. And but this is all after DEF CON. So I'm kind of you know, there's enough. I basically have nonstop conferences starting Monday. So yeah. But yeah, and so that's the status of Giveth. I don't know. Do you guys have any questions on that?
Yeah. So sorry, Luke.
No, go ahead. I think we're going to ask the same question.
I don't know, but like, so Michael and Jeff, they will be working on Giveth, not in the DAC, right?
Jeff, well, I think both of them are going to be getting paid by both. But they're both going to be doing work for both. So I don't know exactly. I think they'll both start out as just Giveth because they'll need to learn what's going on there. But Jeff, eventually, it's really more of Aragon than Giveth because it's DAO. He's building a DAO structure, and so it would almost be like a Nest grant, but it'll be more of like a salary thing. It'd be like, hey, yeah, we want you to build this on top of Aragon, right? A token bonding curves app and a station market app, and working with Patty. Like, I don't know if Jeff's going to work with anyone in Giveth very much. Whereas Michael, he's probably going to start off 100% Giveth, and then once we can start integrating things and he starts doing more DAO work, then I would imagine he would be starting to do and improving Aragon. Then Aragon would start paying him. But it'll be Michael will either be all Giveth or always be a mix.
Okay, got it.
And it'll be very transparent, and I'll check in when it starts and justify it. Let's see.
What was your question, Luke?
That was essentially it. I was just trying to understand the delineation between kind of the Giveth roles and the DAC roles.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing is Giveth is a project, you know, that on itself that will have lots of stuff, but when it starts being Aragon and it's like we're like trying to improve Aragon and provide things for Aragon, then Aragon DAC will supplement. But if it's not, then it's not. Let's see. And then let's see. The next one is, conference events updates. So there's a lot of parties going on. I'm curious to hear. I saw on the schedule an Aragon DAO party on the 1st, maybe. I'd love to know more about that.
Yeah, it's the Aragon Dream DAO pitch competition and a party.
Oh, cool. So what is it like? How does it work?
Basically, people will come and pitch their dream DAOs, and then we are gonna pick a winner and a runner-up.
Very cool. So I guess I probably can't participate. I have so many good DAOs. Okay.
You can
well, that's cool.
The others.
Yeah. Is there going to be like? Is this a big venue? Should I invite all the Giveth crew? There isn't that many DAC people coming to it. Obviously, they'll all go. But
yeah. We have a page with on Kickback where people can sign up, and using the Kickback DApp basically to deposit. And if they attend the event, they will get a full refund. If not, the excess gets distributed to the attendees. It's how kickback or no block party previously works.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. I have never actually gone to one of those events.
Yeah, there's actually 50 people going, 0 spots left right now. But I think we can squeeze in a couple more people.
Okay. Oh shit. Okay, cool. I'll pass this link around to the crew. Wait, do you have a link?
Yeah, but I cannot send it in the chat because I can't get that to open.
You can put it in the document. That's where it'll go anyway.
Okay. Yeah, there.
Cool. Also, I'm helping to throw a Halloween party. That will be really fun. It's like RaveCon 0 or something. More details will come out for that. But it's going to be a pretty serious party. And
when is
so
it?
bring your what?
When is it? When?
On Halloween, the 31st.
The 31st?
Yep.
Man, that's one party after the other.
Yeah. No, every night. Like it's like, oh, I'll go to the conference and I'll work at night. No. It's just the whole week will be done. But yeah, there's a lot of events going on, and the Halloween one I think is the only one I'm really associated with, besides the Aragon one, I guess. But do you guys have any events that you think we should go to, or events that you guys are excited about? I can get there's a cool calendar too.
I was just going to ask, is there like a master list that you've been looking at?
Yeah, there is. Let me see if I can find this.
Yeah, the broad blockchain week calendar, event calendar.
Cool. Yeah, I've been kind of behind on getting myself organized around scheduling, but I also wanted to try and coordinate with a bunch of like people for smaller meetups, specifically around curation markets, the radical markets kind of trend, and agent-based modeling. So there's like a few like groups that are just like, I just want to, if anybody's in town, we should all meet up. And I want to try and figure out times that don't overlap with huge events.
Good
Which
luck.
Which is going to be hard, right?
Yeah, it's over. There are huge events overlapping with each other pretty much the whole time.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I mean, the Halloween party, I think will go till sunrise. So
I need to get a Halloween costume.
Yeah, me too. Let's see. Okay, cool. So yeah, there's a cool, you're gonna put together a curation market, radical market group meetup. Is there any other? Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't actually done any planning for that yet, and I wouldn't really consider it an event. It's more just sort of like saying a specific group. This is sort of like a spot, a space and a time, and let's meet up and chat, as opposed to like a full-on event. More of like a casual, coordinating group interests.
Yeah. Look, I think the guy from Radical Markets, he's organizing something around that one.
Cool. Yeah. You're talking about Glenn?
Yes.
Yeah, I know there's, I think, going to be like a Radical Market track or something at the event, I'm sure as well. So.
Also, yeah.
I just added the broad blockchain week event calendar thing to the document as well. There's a lot of things there that.
Is it the spreadsheet?
No, it's a website.
Okay.
Yeah, there's lots of fun calendars, but yeah, do you guys have any other events that we should put on our radar in case they're not?
No, I think you know better than us on events happening in DEFCON.
Well, obviously the Magicians Council will be there. The DAI happy hour thing sounds fun. You might need to get DAI on your phone. Just a heads up. Same also for our event, because MakerDAO's sponsoring the Halloween party. So get Die on your phone if you don't have it yet. Let's see what else. We're probably going to go to the, so at least some of us will go to the blockchains.com event because we've worked with them a little bit, Blockchains LLC. There's that event, and so it's actually. What?
I was going to ask, what is that? Because I got an invitation, but I don't know. I don't know that team or that group or who are they.
Well, what's sad is it's during the Aragon Dream DAO party, so it'll have to be like after party. But they are this really rich lawyer guy who is really cool. He sued Wells Fargo and all the big banks after the 2008 crash and like got them for billions. And then he's super into Ethereum and started this blockchains company. They actually also own Eth.News, if you ever see them around. Personally, Eth.News is kind of, I don't know. In general, I think that I have some questionable views about this guy, how he treats his employees, but I think his intentions are good. He just doesn't pay his employees very well. But yeah, he's trying to put together this huge, commercial park in Reno, where like a bunch of like Tesla and Google and all these tech companies will join, and he really wants to DAOify it. So I've actually introduced him to Luis, to talk about like using Aragon to run the DAO that all these guys would have to pay to get their water and shit like that, pay their water bills to a DAO. It's kind of a cool project, but they've been in stealth mode for a long time, and so they're going to come out and like start talking about what they're doing.
Yeah, they just released a video, and I do think the name is funny because they're in the desert and they call it Sandbox.
Nice.
Which is in many ways funny.
Yeah. I know my Ether wallet on Halloween is also doing a castle party, which sounds fun. But yeah, those are all the events, at least for DevCon, that I'm thinking of. Okay, cool. Next, let's see what's next on the list. User documentation. Tatu.
Yeah, this was something that came up recently, is that John, who unfortunately isn't on the call today, was the person working on user documentation. For example, he had started working on a user guide for Gitcoin bounties, because the previous one we have was for status open bounties, but we're now using Gitcoin. And then, of course, as we are now going to be releasing the version 0.6 and new updates and features and stuff coming up, we need someone working on user documentation. And the discussion so far that I heard would be they move it for the DAC, because that would be kind of the natural way of doing that. So just like starting the discussion on how to move forward with that, possibly.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, luckily I have one of the only other hires we have in community R&D is our documentation guy. So Chris is mostly focused on dev documentation right now, because that's where the need is greatest. But man, I would love to get him in a call with John to start brainstorming some ideas there. We have a really good writer, Brian Curran. I don't know if You guys, dude, these ads are amazing. You just put up an ad asking for people who want to do work on Aragon, and just like you get bombed with awesome people, at least for UX and technical writing. And this guy, man, he is like, I just got lost in a rabbit hole reading his stuff.
What's his name?
Brian Curran. Don't you steal him. Don't you steal him.
Maria has already sent an email, don't worry.
I know. I mean, I'm very much enjoying his writing. He goes deep into very technical topics and interesting ones, Dandelion Protocol or different like Crypto Note, which is the stuff behind Monero. So really, really interesting guy, really smart for sure, and communicates very well. So I'm just waiting to stick him on something. I told him it probably would happen after DevCon. He's patient. He's got other gigs, and it would just be a gig thing. So, and I think that's how he would prefer it. So, like, I was thinking some tutorials and some things like that. He's like my secret weapon for end users specifically. And yeah.
Good.
But so like first, I think first step is John and Chris should have a conversation, and then Chris to Brian actually, but it'll happen when we have some user documentation bounties for him to work on.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
And I'll take the action there and try to get John and Chris talking.
We're also I'll have a call with Louis and John on Monday. I can also bring this up then, because in case you saw that we're deprecating the version 0.5, so we basically have a date that we need some or releasing new stuff probably. So schedule-wise, soon.
Okay, cool. Can you say that again? I'm sorry. Oh.
Yeah, so like I said, for when we are releasing the version 0.6, then it would be good to have updated user documentation, user guide at least, something like that for that, like we have for the 0.5 currently in the wiki. So there's just not a lot of time until that, because there's barely a week and a half.
Oh, okay.
So that's my concern. But I will discuss with Liz and John on Monday further.
So right now you don't know what the timing is for the 0.6 to come out, or?
I know we don't usually do any specific dates, but we have a plan.
So you'll check with Louis, and then you can come back to let us know, like, by that date we need documentation to be ready.
Yeah, would be really helpful to get at least started and have it ready as soon as possible for the release. If it's not on time, like at the same time, of course that's possible, but we'll see how we can get this moving forward then.
Okay, well, I'll try to get Chris. Chris is asleep right now because he's in Thailand, but I'll try to get him talking with John over the weekend. Okay, cool. I don't see any other big issues, so now we just have fireside chat for 9 minutes. There's some little things, the wiki. And if you have any other topics to throw on for the fireside chat, just throw it down there in the document. But who put down wiki?
I did. It was just like fireside chat wise. I wanted to ask, Tattoo, you said that so you wanted some changes for the wiki and you were gonna send this to me. I just wanted to know like if that's coming up so that I know when it's coming.
Yeah, I can probably send you the current, not final preview today. I didn't do that much work this week on the wiki as I was doing the other stuff in Switzerland. But yeah, I can send to you the current version today.
Yeah, it's not super urgent. It's just to know because indeed next week will be all over the place. So I don't know. Just like if you need urgent feedback, then today is better than. Well, I just don't know when I'll be able to look at it in detail. That's why.
It's not as urgent. We're not like in the next couple of weeks. It's not because
okay.
We all have
it's
other
good to know.
stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And the next one is also mine. I just wanted, but John is not here. So, but what I was thinking, but it's Tattoo, you can give maybe feedback on that one. I forgot to talk about that one when we talked about the newsletter. What was it? The automated, the check for double content bot. That one, so maybe that one can wait until we have everything up and running and with like the handover, and then we can implement that one because I saw it was actually ready. It just needs to be verified, but I don't know. Like I don't think our new guy Gene is probably not technical enough to do that. But we can maybe first like do the handover and make that one work properly, and then Quasi or someone else can maybe check it.
Yeah, that was what I got stuck on, that it would need to be tested, running it and doing some test issues and seeing. He has done tests in his own repo, but I would still double check before putting it live. And then the issue is that we'd need a server or something on where to run the bot. So someone would need to set that up and all that. So
yeah, so that's probably more something for the Quasia and the others. But yeah, I think I said I was gonna pick this up with Quasia, but I think Griff, you have more contact with him right now, and so
yeah,
maybe
I can reach out. I can put it on the little chat room there and see. It's the same link as before for the issue, right? 91 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'll ping them. I mean, if it's setting up a server and stuff, RJ does that in his sleep, so I'm sure that wouldn't be too hard.
Okay. Yeah, the next one was also mine, just because I wanted to get the conversation going. But we talked about it before. It's like in our description of what the community R&D is going to do. It's mostly, we said we're going to really engage the end consumer and do some of these tests. But we already have like now some of the things coming up, like what you said with the curation mark and so on. But yeah, I was just wondering, like, I responded a while ago to like one a guy who that even already met the Aragon team. His name is just slipping now, but he's working on citizen movements, and he's very much into blockchain. And yeah, Brussels is like the perfect place to start citizen movements. We just had elections last week, and it made me think again, like, of this is the place to like experiment with DAOs, and he would be like the perfect link there. But I don't know, maybe it's still too early, but maybe at some point we should start a list with some of the possible projects that we want to start doing experiments with that are a little bit farther. I don't know when it's the time to do that.
You guys have any ideas? I mean, I know mainnet's coming, right? So, but how far into mainnet should we wait before we start actively bringing people on to build them DAOs?
I mean, I think as long as we understand kind of the scope of what we're building and start small, then we should start as soon as possible, right? Mm-hmm. Well, like if we can find use cases that like require relatively like small like amount of building relative to like being able to get to something that you can kind of test, then the sooner the better. I think the danger is just like, oh, finding a use case and then being like, oh, we have to build this whole entire thing and it's months and months of development before we get to sort of a test. So trying to find the things that can kind of leverage what's already there and then add like incrementally on top of that to get to an interesting test.
Yeah, I was going to say the same, and so as long as it is like that, like Luke said it, I would say us up.
But I'm really actually excited to start to dog food even internally with some of these things once we have mainnet. Like the monthly, for example, I think is a great opportunity to like try slightly different like approaches and add in that transparency. Using like relatively small modifications, if any. Like you could potentially just set the permissions up to allow certain contributors to specify bounties. I don't remember exactly what the setup is right now, but like the ACL allows you to do conditional like movement of funds from the vault, so you could fund a DAO with like a couple months worth of resources and then have some sort of process implemented for funding these bounties and pushing out issues. And that would be sort of a live test. Things like that, where there's like a process that we need to follow. There's like actionable results and we can kind of test the process without getting to the point where somebody's like just trying to do an ICO and there's a bunch of people that are going to get hurt. There's like, it's weird. And this is one of the reasons that like there was like the fundraising app in the original like Aragon scope is that like we want to discourage people that are going to like do crazy things out the gate and put a lot of like things at risk. Like we want to incrementally test things so that eventually we get to the point where you can do crazy big wild things and be very confident that everything's going to work.
Totally.
Makes sense. Yeah, and by the way, I found the guy in the meantime that I was thinking of. He's called, pronounced in English, Xavier Daman, and he's the founder of Storyfy, which you might know. It's like the overview of tweets, and many newspapers took that over to like make stories. And now he created, and so out of that he became, I think, more than rich enough to do whatever he wants now. And so he created now New Citizen Media, which is like collecting citizens to do stuff together, and Open Collect. It's also sort of open source design thing. So he's doing all these experiments with open source and DAOifying things. So it's like he's always looking. He knows he's following Aragon, so he would be a good one in like a further step. But it makes sense indeed to first start like definitely with stuff like newsletter and small scale and see if that works, and then we can some other people. But I keep someone like that in the back of my head.
Well, actually, I was thinking those types of conversations, even if it's not like immediately actionable, are still really, really important to have, and being like, okay, what are these things? What are the commonalities? Where do we get to them? And putting those types of things as like write-ups like on the forum for discussions would be really interesting, because we can be like, okay, this is actually what I want to do. What would it take to get there? And we can kind of have a discussion, and maybe people will pick it up, right? But it's not a matter of like, oh, we're not ready for this. It's not, or like, let's put them on the back burner and come back to it. It's sort of like, let's get all of this information together, and then once we have all that information, we can kind of decide what makes sense to do immediately next.
Yeah, makes complete sense. Yeah.
Cool. Let's see. Last thing on the list is Nest.
Yeah, I put it there just to mention that I came up with this. We came up with this idea of having more people involved, helping Nest, for example. And so I wanted to let you know, in case you didn't know yet, if you know anybody that wants to help in terms of, we need different skills, like product management skills, communication skills, things like that, that maybe they can volunteer, or we can just, issue a bounty as well for those people to help the Nest teams with those specific things. Maybe having a call with a specific team that is having that wants to learn a little bit X or Y from product management point of view, or things like that. So yeah, I just wanted to comment to let you know. If you know somebody that would like to help like that, send it to me.
Okay, and when you say like just to enter on calls and talk to people about,
or or chats, or on GitHub, and yeah, or on Keybase.
So would this be kind of like an idea of, I don't know, we have mentors, for instance, for Nest, right? Every team has a mentor.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
Aragon, like how do you get, pull requests?
Yeah, it is something like that. Yes.
So would you want something like a project manager who's there for Nest people for project management consultation, and maybe a UX?
Exactly.
For UX?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's what I mean.
Okay. I'll keep my ear. I'll definitely be talking to so many people over conference week, and I'll throw that out there.
Great.
Because I imagine this isn't a full-time thing, or even barely a part-time thing.
Exactly. It's barely a part-time thing. Yeah. And it's completely different, or apart from the, like you said, the assignees that we in Nest have, technical assignees. And actually, I was talking to Kwasia, because I really need the DAC to start pushing on that. We really need. I think we already have a couple of months with the dev campaign, and they are more used to the Aragon stack. So I think we can start really having the DAC dev team involved into the Nest.
I think Daniel's jumping on one, right?
Yes, he's going to take in one of the new teams.
Yeah. We'll definitely be throwing more, for sure.
Great.
Yeah. We just got RJ on, but I don't think he's a good fit for that, because he's just going to disappear when his baby is born. So I don't know, but Jay Veluso should probably grab one. And yeah, actually, maybe Chris could grab one too. The other Chris, the documentation Chris.
Okay.
I'll see, because he's starting to get pretty familiar with the stack, but I think he might need it at least maybe till after DEFCON.
Yeah. Some of the teams are very technical, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and well, if they have questions about documentation, though, he's definitely the guy. I want him to be.
Great. Good thing to know.
Okay, cool. Well, I think that's our meeting. So let's check out. Thank you guys. Great meeting, and I'm excited to see you guys in the flesh, hopefully, in Prague. I'll pass it to Luke. Uh-oh, you're muted.
It doesn't seem like he's muted, but yeah, somehow we can't hear you.
I'll pass it to Tatu then. But
yeah. Which part? Are we doing the summary?
Oh no, it's just the checkout. And Luke, try just refreshing, and it'll probably fix it.
Yeah, Luke has that sometimes.
Hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Now we can hear you.
My AirPods died, and then it didn't know what it was doing. But yeah, I'm looking through the notes from the agenda. This is a really awesome call. I'm very excited, and also very excited to see most of you guys in person next week. So, good. Go ahead, Maria.
Yeah, this was a very, very good meeting, and especially I'm very happy to see that the DAC is growing. So I think we are reaching momentum for that team. So I'm very happy about it. I'll pass it to Chris.
Yeah, thanks for the very nice meeting. And yeah, I'll leave it at that for now. And I give it to Tatu.
Yeah, it was a nice call. Looking forward to moving forward, and it's really nice to see that you guys are also getting more people working on Aragon, and taking monthly and everything, and it's going great. So I'm gonna give it to Maria.
I think
I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so thank you guys. We'll see you guys soon.
Bye.
See you.
See you in DEF CON.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.